Hey, shalom, shalom. It's the brother Abba above in the DC Church, coming at you, giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Shemel, Shabbat, Shemel, Kadash, Yahweh being the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shah being whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, Bashem meaning in the name, recall meaning spirit, Kadash meaning holy. These are the names and the powers that I come to you in order to profess the 100% truth, and Lord's will seal the elect's faith. Alright, Shadi Kabaka, well over Cobbs, Queen Nabaith. May the double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS in these times. And of course, Shalom, Barakam, Abakarim, Shiash Allah. Alright, peace and blessings be upon the elect of the nation of Israel. And to the men out there that's pushing this word of sincerity and truth, to you I say Shalom, Barakam, Thumb, and peace and blessings be upon you. Alright, now without further ado, you can see the title and it says, How Marriage Ties to the Chip. Alright, or to the charagma. All right. Now, you have an array of scriptures, and then you also have a couple of quotes that I made. And I'm gonna try the best of my ability to be as concise and be as transparent and as comprehensive as possible, so that you understand the point that I'm trying to convey. Okay. Now, number one. I put all things revolve around the same concepts, and then I put that equals nothing's new under the sun. Now, what I basically meant by that was that the concept of marriage ties directly into how the chip is, the concept of how the chip is instituted, okay? So what happens is you have an incision, and then you also have blood, all right? Now, when you make an incision and then blood is drawn, that creates marriage, all right? And also, that same incision can also be signified and is also signified as to who owns you, all right? And that's why, not kind of trying to jump the gun or skip important details, but that's how really marriage is tied to the chip. It's because there's an incision that's made and blood is drawn. And that's the exact way how marriage is consummated, okay? And that's what I mean by all things revolve around the same concepts. And that's why nothing is new under the sun, because the same concepts are just literally reinvented. And that's why you don't have anything new. The reason why there's nothing new is because the same conceptual, there's no conceptual evolution. It's only just like front-facing things that seem new, okay? Because the concept of a phone, telecommunicating, all these things, it's not new. It's just reinvented essentially. So, not to stray off topic, but I want to kind of just start off with this precept and just show you what the consummation of marriage actually is, okay? So this is Exodus chapter 21 or 22 verse 16, all right? So let's see what it says. It says, and if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife, all right? Now, Salakia. Let's look up what that word lie means. Come on. All right. Sakab. It means to lie down, to lie on, to lodge. It says to lie of sexual relations. Okay. And that's what it means. It's talking about if you have sex with a woman that is not married, you shall surely endow her to be your wife. All right. And when I originally thought of this video, the original topic that I had at hand was more so like comparing and contrasting modern day marriage and ancient marriage or traditional marriage according to our traditions. And it kind of spanned off into this topic because I had more context on this. Number one, and number two, I was watching a video from the brother Yerumya, and he was kind of just going into, the MOTB essentially. And I figured, why not bring out something that's a little bit more relevant and a little bit more timely than to kind of compare and contrast old marriage. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I wanted to I wanted to kind of italicize that this is what marriage actually is. When you have sex with a woman, that is what consummates marriage. Okay? And that also goes into a different topic. I don't want to span off into that. But that's why you're supposed to be, that's why the Lord doesn't always allow you to have what you want. Okay? Because your soul ends up tying with that other person that you're having sexual intercourse with. But nonetheless, now I wanted to bring out now we understand what marriage is, right? Now it says, if a man lie with a woman, he shall surely endure to be his wife, right? Now you have to also understand, what status do you stand in? Are you already married to a power? Okay? We got to answer this question. Are we already married to a power? Because if we're not married to a power, then if we took that chip, it would be justified. But we're about to find out if the nation of Israel is married to a power. All right? So let's go back to this. Exodus 22, token of virginity. We're probably going to grab that afterward. But what we're going to grab first is Exodus chapter 24, verse 6. All right? And just slide over. All right? Now, keep in mind, what happens in the consummation of what consummates marriage is an incision, number one, and number two, the blood that comes from that incision, all right, from that action. Now, this is Exodus chapter 24, verse 6. It says, actually, I started 4. It's Exodus chapter 24, verse 4. And Moses wrote all the words of the Heavenly Father and rose up early in the morning and builded an altar under the hill and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Heavenly Father. And Moses took half of the blood and put it on the basins, and put it into the basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people and said, all that the Lord have said will we do and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words. Okay, so let's go back to this. Now, as you can see, I have a covenant equals a promise. And a promise is no other than marriage. Okay, that's essentially what marriage is. All marriage is a promise between a man and a woman that this woman will uphold her womanly duties. Just like, they have vows, essentially. That's what it is. It's just a vow. It's a vow between a man and a woman that they're tied together forever. Okay, which that's what I'm thinking of. Let me see something real quick. 22, verse 15, because virginity, the city, token of the virginity to the elders in the city. Salakia. I was thinking of Nah. Now I know what I'm thinking of. It's in Exodus. Actually, it's going to bring me to my next point. Okay, which Exodus 21 and 6. That's the point. So, as I stated, marriage is just it's a vow, and that vow is also a promise. Okay, and that promise is to be upheld forever, because when a man saith, if you put your words on it, your word's supposed to be bond. Okay, so that's why when you consummate, with the blood signifies that marriage is going to be a forever thing. And that's why when you insert yourself into a woman and then the blood is drawn out, what you're basically doing is you're cutting into a woman. You're making an incision in her flesh. Okay, And then when you go into her and you come out, you're literally cutting. The act of sex is literally cutting, because you're putting in, pulling out, putting in, pulling out, right? And then at the end, what heals the cut is the waters. And that's what the ejaculation is. The ejaculation is the waters. Nonetheless, when the blood comes out, that's what signifies the marriage. And actually, let me grab that precept real quick, because this what was that? Exodus 22 verse 15, right? And I'm gonna just read this one precept, because it kind of expands off into something else. But Exodus chapter 22 verse 15, it says, "Then the father of the damsel and the mother shall take and bring forth the token of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gates." Okay, and this is in the process of marriage happening. Okay, and what happens is, the reason why they do that is to signify that those two have been married. Okay, so let me see real quick. It's always good to go into things. Bring forth the token of the woman's virginity. It doesn't have a word. Let's see. Doesn't have a word for that word token. But the token of a woman's virginity would basically be like a cloth or something that has the blood that was spilled from her virginity being taken. Now, I said that to say this, all right, which is going to bring me to my next precept, 21:6. All right. Because, mind you, keep in mind how I said the same concepts still apply everywhere you go. The same concepts apply everywhere you go in the scriptures, okay? So this is another example of when an incision is being made, okay? And look what it says. This is there's Exodus chapter 21 verse 6. It says, "Then his master," and this talking about an indentured servant in a roundabout way. If you have a servant, because it tells you these are basically the laws on having a servant that's an Israelite. Okay, it says, "Then his master shall bring him unto the judges, and he shall also bring him to the door or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever." Okay, so after that incision was made, and what's the word I'm looking for? A signet was basically placed on that man, he would be in subject to that man forever. Okay, and that was the consummation. That was the consummation of that covenant. All right. So let me kind of bring this back a little bit to give a better understanding. All right. So the concept of marriage, once you insert yourself into this woman and you pull out and the blood is shed, that action itself is a signification, or the signet of consummating marriage. Now the same concept goes for a servant. You have to bore his ear with an awl. Okay, and that incision ties that promise together, and then what it says, he's in servitude to you forever. So the same concept, mind you, we're keeping focus on that concept. It's also applied when it comes to the motb. All right, because what's happening is you're making an incision in your right hand or your forehead, which then is drawing blood, and there's a literal awe that is put in your flesh, okay, which is signifying to the Heavenly Father that you belong to someone else, which that cannot happen because we've already made a consummation, and we've already made a vow with the Heavenly Father. We've already made a covenant with the Heavenly Father that we would belong to Him. All right. And if we didn't make that covenant, then we would be free to go off to whoever the hell we want to serve. But we chose. We already shed the blood. We already shed the blood, and the Lord already made His incision on us, spiritually and physically, to marry us. So that's why taking the motb is adultery, number one. And it's also spiritual fornication, it's fornication, essentially, spiritual fornication, which is essentially around the same route. All right. Let me go back to this covenant promise. See, the act of cutting, and that's why that was a quote that I said. The act of cutting in or an incision signifies ownership. The water, that's putting me back right on track. Okay, because as we seen, the Lord already made his cut. He already made his incision on the nation of Israel because we made our consummation with the Lord, and that's why he owns us. Okay, and that's why you also have to understand the scriptures say the Lord is a jealous power. So when we start to do things that are contrary to us upholding our marriage with the Lord, that's why the Lord ends up punishing us, okay, as you should your woman when she goes off. But obviously, we don't live in a day and age where we can do that. Nonetheless, I digress. Let me go here real quick. I would be remiss if I didn't bring this out. 14 and 12. All right. It says, for the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them, the corruption of life. All right. So we understand that there's penalties that come with not upholding the consummation or not upholding the vow that we have with the Heavenly Father. Now, it just so happens that if you take the motb, that is the ultimate betrayal, because it is then signifying that you belong to a different owner, okay, even after you already made the consummation with the Heavenly Father, all right? And mind you, the scriptures say that covenant shall be kept from generation unto generations forever, all right? So we still belong to the Heavenly Father. And you also have to understand that the same spirits that were there during that time are reincarnated and put back in flesh. So it's furthermore why we still belong to the Heavenly Father. Okay, so that is the reason why. And I actually want to end in the book of Revelations, chapter 13, verse 16. Right, where that is the reason why taking the motb is a very, very, very detrimental, not only detrimental, but it is a very big act of betrayal, okay? Because we were espoused to the Heavenly Father, and we also lied down with the Heavenly Father, because what? The Heavenly Father gave us his doctrine. He gave us the truth. He gave us everything that we needed, okay? And collectively as a whole, we neglected him. And that's why the Lord began to do these things unto us. But it's all because of our disobedience, not because of the Lord's imperfection, because there's no imperfection in the Heavenly Father. All right. So this is there's Revelations chapter 13, verse 16. He causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right. So Esau is going to cause he's going to cause all to take this chip. But there's the elect that is not going to take the chip, and the 1/3 that is not going to take the chip, because they understand and they uphold their marriage to the very death of them. Okay, because that is what a good wife would do. A good wife would uphold her husband's the consummation that she made with her husband, whether he's in front of her or whether he's not in front of her. And that's essentially what we're doing. What we're showing is that we actually really love the Lord, because we're upholding the marriage without the Lord having to be present. Okay. And it's also, and not for nothing, I kind of thought about the Greek mythology story of Odysseus, when he basically went off to a long journey, and his wife never slept with another man, and she basically kept her purity, didn't sleep with another man, didn't get enticed, and always waited for him to kind of get back. It's the same thing that we're doing, to kind of, I ain't want to utilize Greek mythology, but to be honest, it makes a good point. the fact of the matter is that that's essentially what the case is for us, is that we're still upholding that marriage, even though Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai isn't physically present in this realm, you know, but his spirit is in this realm, definitely, and he's definitely holding us and keeping us. But that's why it's important for us to not break the vow, not break the consummation, because the Lord, there's a big reward that comes with that, with upholding the marriage up until the end, okay, which the marriage is going to be reconceptualized, reinvented anyway when we get into the kingdom of heaven, because we're going to have a new and better covenant, essentially, okay? So with that, I pray that you were edified through this epistle. Of course, I give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bashim, Yahweh, Shah, Bashim, Kokadash, Shanti Kabaga, Bola Rakabs, claiming Abba Aith, wa Shalom, wa Barak, wa Bakan, Shahala. I pray that you were edified through this epistle. Until next time, I say Shalom.